Warships from China, Iran, and Russia sail into South African waters. And the African nation's one of the oldest and closest Western allies, Washington is watching closely. A controversial naval exercise hosted by South Africa is threatening to push already fractured U.S. relations under President Donald Trump. Chinese, Iranian, and Russian naval vessels have been seen arriving at South Africa's main naval base in Simonstown, near Cape Town. The arrival was ahead of a week-long military exercise that began on Friday. The drills are being led by China and involve members of the BRICS Plus alliance, a geopolitical bloc created to challenge the political and economic dominance of Western powers. Originally formed in 2006 as BRIC, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, and China, the group expanded to BRICS when South Africa joined in 2010. More recently, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates were added, transforming the bloc into BRICS Plus. South Africa's Defense Department says the exercises focus on maritime safety, joint operations, and protecting shipping routes, but stopped short of naming all participating countries. Officials insist the goal is to ensure the safety of maritime economic activity. However, a new report suggests Pretoria is attempting to persuade Iran to downgrade its role to that of an observer, highlighting concerns over how the drills may be viewed by U.S. President Donald Trump. As relations between South Africa and the United States are already at historic lows. Defense analysts question why an economic alliance is holding joint military drills, particularly given political tensions within BRICS Plus itself. There are members with opposing political interests and even active border disputes, defense analyst Dean Wingren told the BBC. This is not South Africa's first naval exercise with China and Russia. The original MOSI drills took place in 2019 with little attention. But by 2023, during Russia's invasion of Ukraine, MOSI 2 sparked international backlash. The current exercise was initially planned for November last year under the name MOSI 3, but was postponed due to South Africa hosting the G20 summit. It was later rebranded and expanded into a BRICS Plus maritime drill called Will for Peace. Critics warn the expanded exercise could further alienate South Africa from the United States, which is one of the African nation's largest trading partners. Since returning to power, President Trump has accused South Africa of failing to protect its white minority population. Trump offered Afrikaners refugee status in the U.S., imposed higher tariffs, and cut aid to South Africa. He also reacted angrily to Pretoria's role in bringing a genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, a charge Washington rejects. Efforts to repair ties failed. President Cyril Ramaphosa's White House visit in May ended with Trump confronting him over disputed claims of white farmer killings. No South African political party, including Afrikaner-led groups, supports claims of white genocide. Trump later boycotted South Africa's G20 summit in Johannesburg, calling it a total disgrace and repeating allegations on social media. Economists warn the fallout could be devastating. The South African Reserve Bank estimates U.S. tariffs could cost up to 100,000 jobs, particularly in agriculture and automotive sectors. Analysts say U.S. companies generate far more jobs locally than Chinese investments. While China is viewed by the ruling ANC as an ideological ally, Russia respected for its anti-apartheid support. Critics say South Africa's foreign policy has failed to adapt since forming a coalition government in 2024. Meanwhile, tensions spilled onto the streets. Ukrainian protesters gathered near Cape Town's harbor as a Russian warship docked, demanding South Africa end cooperation with Moscow.
It is emotional and hard for us to see that Russian Navy that killing Ukrainian people doing its Navy training in South African waters. So we ask South Africa stop cooperation with Russian Navy training.
At the same time, South African activists protested outside the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria, as they condemned Washington's recent military operation in Venezuela. Demonstrators accused the U.S. of kidnapping President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Cilia Flores.
Free President Maduro, free!
Demonstrators described the operation as imperialist, criminal, and illegal, drawing parallels with U.S. wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya. They rejected U.S. claims of drug trafficking charges as politically motivated. Protesters demanded Maduro's immediate release and the withdrawal of all U.S. forces from Venezuela. Several Latin American nations, BRICS members, and Global South countries criticized Washington's actions.
We're here today with various South African civil society organizations, political organizations, as well as trade unions to send a very clear message to the United States. Its gangster-like behavior on the international stage is unacceptable, and the peoples of the world are insisting that there is a red line, and that red line has been crossed. One of the reasons that we are protesting here today is quite simply because yesterday it was Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq. Today is Venezuela. Tomorrow it could very well be South Africa. The United States has reached that level of being a gangster and a bully. There were trumped up charges against Nicolas Maduro of being a drug kingpin in his country. There are lies being spread about our own South African government overseeing a white genocide. These are the lies that the United States uses to dominate, to impose, and to interfere with other countries. People of South Africa are also a strong people. We do have alternative relations. We do have BRICS, for example. We do have other countries that we are beginning to trade directly with. We together with other countries of the global south, are beginning to distance ourselves from the US empire.
We are here at the United States of America Embassy in South Africa to protest the recent January 3rd events that took place in Venezuela, the illegal and criminal kidnapping of the Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, and trumped up charges. It's a violation of international law, it's criminal, it's an imperialist action. There's no basis in international law or diplomacy to invade another sovereign state. So it's an act of crime. We're here, South Africans, to protest at the USA Embassy to show them that we disapprove. And we have few demands. One of the demands that we have is that there must be an immediate release of President Maduro to be returned to his home country where he's the president, and for the withdrawal of all forces and proxies of the United States in Venezuela.
When one man sitting and thinking that he can control the world, and just because he's desperate, the influence of the US is continuing to collapse. And because of the desperation, he starts to behave just like a mad person.
Meanwhile, analysts warn South Africa now risks being caught between escalating global power struggles. As rival blocs flex their military and economic muscle, South Africa faces a high-stakes balancing act. Between Washington and BRICS Plus, the cost of choosing sides may be more than the country can afford.